It's official, folks. The Detroit Lions found out late last night that they were going to be playing against the Washington Commanders this upcoming Saturday at 8 p.m. But the main question on a lot of people's minds has not to do with the game itself, but particular members that will be in the game. We're going to talk about it, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. Yes, folks, as we already know, the Lions are going to be playing against the Washington Commanders Saturday night this week, and it's going to be at 8 p.m. Pardon me. I can tell you this already right now. This was kind of the opponent I figured we were going to get. And the reason I can say that is because even though I suspected and I thought the Bucs could win it, I also had this nagging suspicion in the back of my mind. I'm like, listen, if there's one team that could potentially throw a slight monkey wrench in everything, and I'm not saying like for us getting to where we want to go, but throw a slight monkey wrench in the fact that we've never played them, we don't really know much about them, and it's going to be like a full-on analytical deep dive, it would be the Commanders. And the Commanders, true to form, they played a very good game against a Bucs team, and they pulled out the victory. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Hats off to the Commanders. Great job getting that playoff victory. First playoff victory since 2005. Definitely as a Lions fan, I know exactly how that feels, albeit about twice as long. But here's the thing. When it comes to the Commanders, I know this for a fact. Lions fans aren't necessarily worried about the Commanders as a whole, as a team. Because are they a talented bunch? Absolutely, they're a talented bunch. They've got some good talent on both sides of the football. But I know why I'm already hearing certain things from certain fans and why I'm hearing certain concerns already is not because of all the other members of the team. It's because of one member of the team. And that specifically is quarterback Jayden Daniels. The reason why is because a lot of Lions fans, their ultimate nightmare is a mobile quarterback because, well, let's be fair and honest here. In the past, we've not done particularly well against mobile quarterbacks. Haven't really had a whole lot of problems this year, but to be entirely honest, because of how well our offense has played, mobile quarterbacks don't really have a whole lot of damn opportunity to run. They have to throw the ball. So that's why this is going to be a little bit more interesting here because the way the Commanders run their offense, they like to make sure that they use a lot of options. They like to make sure they get Daniels outside of the pocket, use his speed to extend plays. That's going to be something that the Lions are going to have to contend with. And it's definitely something that a lot of Lions fans are already worrying about. But the point of this episode is to provide some promising news as to why I think the Lions will do just fine. Now, I'm not just going to make this all about how I think the Commanders are this, that, or the other thing and how I think we're just going to stomp them. The Commanders definitely played a good game against the Bucs. The Bucs are no slouches. They went to the playoffs last year, beat the Eagles, got to the divisional round, played a good game against us. We still beat them. So this Bucs team was not a slouch. But let's take a look-see here as to why I think the Lions will do just fine. First and foremost, let's take a look at Jayden Daniels himself. How did he do last night? Well, for a rookie, in his very first playoff game, a playoff game, mind you, that was on the road, so in hostile territory, he did very, very impressive. When you take a look at the stats as I put them up here on the screen, Jayden Daniels last night was freaking 24 of 35, so almost 70 completion percentage rate, almost 270 passing yards, 7.7 an average a throw, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 80.4 QBR with a 110.2 passer rating. Also ran the ball 13 times for 36 yards for 2.8 an average. That right there shows me, and it ought to show everybody else, that Jayden Daniels is able to handle playing primetime football at a high freaking level. He's able to play high-stakes football when you absolutely need him to. He's proven that multiple times this year, but when you get to the playoffs, as everybody says, the playoffs are a completely different animal, completely different beast. So the fact that the Commanders, having not been to the playoffs since freaking, the last time they went was in 2020, and they haven't won a playoff game since 2005, the fact that they came in, they handled their business, they got the win, and their rookie quarterback did the same, that's a big nod to them, and I tip my hat off to them. But like I said, the main concern that a lot of people have about Daniels, especially Lions fans, is his mobility and how that's going to impact our defense. Well, here's what I'm going to say. I'm about to provide you all with a framework as to why I think the Lions will be able to handle, number one, not only the Commanders as a whole, but why I think they'll be able to handle Daniels rather well. Let's first and foremost take an understanding as to who the Commanders played last night. The Bucs were a good team. They were. But let's understand some aspects of this defense that were not good, especially in comparison to the Lions. I'm just going to say this right now. The Lions defense that the Commanders are getting set to come into Detroit and play against on Saturday night, that defense, our defense, makes the Buccaneers defense look like a wimpy child. Because go back to that game the Commanders played against the Bucs. The Commanders held the ball for almost 35 and a half minutes. There's 60 minutes in a football game. When you almost have 5.5 minutes more than splitting the game in half, that tells me a simple problem. The defense of the freaking Bucs was getting tired because they were out on the field substantially more longer than their offense. So that's number one. So what it tells me is that the Commanders, they sustained long drives, and again, it wasn't because they were running the ball super efficiently. They didn't even get 100 yards last night. So what they were doing is they were getting these short little runs, freaking letting the clock run, and then they would use short passes, rollout passes, and some deep balls, to try and actually, extend the field and make the drives work. So it's not like the freaking Commanders offense just went, freaking crazy last night and the Buccaneers had no way to stop them. The Bucs simply were not able to make crucial plays when it was absolutely necessary. Third down, fourth down. Plus on top of that, the Bucs committed a lot of penalties last night. That is a huge reason also why I think the Bucs didn't win. They were not as clean as they needed to be, either in terms of penalties or in terms of turnovers. But I'm telling you this right now. For the Lions are going to have a significantly better, significantly greater defense in being able to, match up, if not completely overpower the freaking Commanders' offense in some areas, and being able to challenge them. And here's the reason why I can say that. First and foremost, like I just demonstrated, Jayden Daniels last night against the Bucs threw for almost 270 yards as a rookie. Here's the one thing I know about freaking the Bucs defense. The Bucs defense loves to blitz. That is freaking Todd Bowles' calling card. He is a blitz-happy, defensive-minded coach. Which, that's not a problem if you've got the coverage guys to make it work. But I can tell you this right now. The Bucs do not have the coverage guys to make it work because the Bucs defensive coverage was absolutely in all phases horrendous. Take a look at their end of the year statistics going into this wild card game. They were ranked 29th in passing yards given up, 22nd in pass completion percentage allowed, tied 19th in passing touchdowns allowed, and ranked 25th in passer rating giving up. This is a passing defense that simply has no answer, no capability to stop quarterbacks. And it shows. When you have a rookie quarterback, even one that's, as good as Jayden Daniels, this is a rookie going into a hostile environment for his first playoff game, and he goes out and he plays freaking about as good as you could imagine for a veteran quarterback. First playoff game, and he goes out there and he looks like he's been doing it for 5 years already. Why is that big? Okay, let's take a look at the Lions' pass defense in comparison. So, yeah, Lions give up a lot of passing yards. That's why they're ranked 30th in passing yards given up. But Oh, that's right. They're ranked second in pass completion given up. They're tied second in passing touchdowns allowed, and they are the number 1 pass defense in passer rating given up. That is a massive world of difference. Pretty much what it tells me is this. The Lions have a very, very much bend but don't break pass defense. We will give you all the damn yards you want through the air. But when it comes time to make the clutch plays, when it comes time to make those touchdowns, you're going to have to fight for every single one of them. Because again, the Lions, they've given up 18 touchdowns, but they've also garnered 16 interceptions. Think about that. We've almost gotten as many interceptions as we've given up touchdowns. So let me just say this right now. I believe the Commanders are still going to get their shots. They're still going to get their completions. But I sincerely doubt they will be anywhere near as close as productive as what they were against the Buccaneers last night. Oh, and FYI, there's a reason why they didn't do too well running the ball last night. I'm talking about the Commanders. The Bucs have the 4th best rushing defense in terms of rushing yards given up. You want to know who's directly behind them? That'd be us. We're ranked 5th. The Commanders, like I said, they had less than 100 rushing yards last night, and that's with Jaden Daniels, the super athletic scrambling quarterback. The guy who had less than 3 in average a rush running the ball 13 times. So again, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that our defense, while is good on both passing and rushing, the reason why the Bucs struggled last night is because their pass defense was their Achilles heel. The Commanders knew it and they exploited it. It's not going to be nearly as easy when you're coming into this game, when you're going in to play the Detroit Lions. And oh, by the way, leads me into my next point, because not only do we have the defense that we have, but like I said, the Bucs do not do a very good job, or sorry, I'm talking about them in the present tense. I need to talk about in the past tense. They did not do a good job of generating turnovers through the air. Again, the Bucs gave up and had a horrendous pass defense. But here's the thing. They had virtually no interceptions for the entirety of the year. In fact, this is how bad it was. The entire Bucs defensive secondary for all 17 games had 7 measly interceptions. Think about that. They had 7 interceptions but gave up 25 passing touchdowns. And what did I say the Lions had this year? They had 16. So the Lions as a team doubled what the freaking Bucs had in terms of interceptions. But here's where it gets even worse. Like I said, the Bucs had 7 interceptions. Kerby Joseph has 9 all to himself. So Kerby Joseph, as an individual, has more picks by himself than the whole damn Bucs defense had this year. And think about this to add further on top of it. It's not like Kerby Joseph is the only guy that's going to be roaming around back there. Pretty much the only guy that was of any noteworthy name for the Bucs last night in their defensive secondary was Jamal Dean. That was it. But let's take a look at the Lions secondary. Oh, that's right. Ife Melifonwu, Terrion Arnold, Amik Robertson, Kerby Joseph. We're supposedly getting Rakestraw back. It's like, okay, this is a much better secondary than what the freaking Bucs were able to provide. And I guarantee you that is going to reflect on freaking Saturday night. Especially considering the fact that, again, what do people like to say sometimes? Sometimes they like to say that a team's best offense is their defense. Well, why can't the reverse be the same? Why can't a team's best defense be their offense? I know that sounds kind of a little weird, but bear with me here. Let's think about the Bucs offense. The Bucs offense is decent, especially throwing the football. That was definitely actually, you know what? I rescind my statement. Not decent. They were great. As far as production was concerned, I must make that clarification. Because throwing the ball, they had a crap ton of yards. Same thing as running the ball, crap ton of yards. But here's the difference between the Lions offense and the Bucs offense. The Lions offense not only can produce yards, but we can score very easily either running the ball or passing the ball. The Bucs were more primarily scoring through the air. They could score on the ground, but they made more of their production through the air. Well, again, let's understand something here. The Lions offense has something that the Bucs simply do not and have not had in a while. The Lions have quite literally the best 1-2 running back combo in the NFL. And the reason I can say that now is because as the report has come out, we're supposed to be getting David Montgomery back for this game. So think about it. We're now getting to return to the fold Sonic and Knuckles. Think about that. It's already bad enough trying to freaking corral Jahmyr Gibbs. We've seen that over the last 2-3 weeks. But now you bring freaking David Montgomery back in. Now you've got to try and deal with both of those two. And that's a tall order for most teams. So that right there, having Montgomery back, that's going to balance out the time of possession, which I mentioned earlier about why the Bucs defense was getting probably tired out, because they were on the field for 5.5 minutes longer than their offense. And here's the other thing. Like I said, the freaking Bucs had a good offense, really good offense. But the Lions are the number 1 offense in the NFL for a reason. And here's why I'm feeling really, really good about this game. The Commanders' defense, it is very, and I mean this, very vulnerable to the Lions. Let me present my case. Number 1, the Commanders have the 30th rush defense in the NFL. They have given up 2,337 yards on the ground. They are tied 28 in rush per average. They're almost giving up 5 yards a pop. They are ranked 19th in passer rating, and they're tied 15th in passing touchdowns given up. Wait a minute here. What does that tell me? That tells me their pass defense is slightly better than their rush defense, but it's still vulnerable. Oh, you know what that tells me? Run the ball, set up the play action, which I can guarantee you is highly likely to happen and will be heavily used. You want to know why? Let me show you. Take a look at how Jared Goff performed the entirety of 2024 off of play action. Jared Goff was ranked freaking second in the NFL in completion percentage off play action. Number 1 in passing yards off play action. Tied second in passing average per throw off of play action. Tied second in passing touchdowns off of play action. Ranked 3rd in passer rating off of play action. And by the way, we just got back Monty. And to add further insult to injury, this Commanders' rush defense is putrid. And to just add one more further cherry on top, how does Jared Goff play at home? Surprisingly, actually, this year, he plays better on the road than he has at home, but he still is a freaking machine at home. Take a look at his splits for home this year. He's completed almost 72% of his passes at home, over 2,500 passing yards, 8.1 an average a throw, 21 touchdowns to 6 interceptions for a 110.3 passer rating. Dude, that is unheard of. You're completing throws at almost 72% a clip, 8 yards on average a throw, and you're throwing 3 touchdowns to every 1 interception. That's why I'm trying to tell you all this. The Lions are going to have a field day in my mind when they get Monty back in there, because now you've got Sonic and Knuckles. Both of those guys are going to stress the ever-living hell out of the Commanders' defense. And then once they start figuring out how to try and stop the run, that's when we're going to open up the play-action game. That's when we're going to start taking advantage of that. And that is one thing that the Lions are very good at doing, exploiting off of play action. I remember watching the game last night with the Bucs. I don't remember them doing much play action. I can guarantee you this, that is going to be the complete opposite when they play us. Just saying. Kind of getting to the end of this, so I'm trying to hurry up here. But there's one other reason why I think Lions fans don't need to worry about the Commanders in this aspect based upon what they saw against the Bucs. Let's understand let's understand where they're coming to. The freaking Bucs are coming to Ford Field. The Commanders are coming to Ford Field. They just got done playing at the Bucs. Well, wait a minute here. What's the Bucs home stadium? It's an open air stadium. There's no dome, there's no roof. Ford Field, on the other hand, is completely enclosed. It is a dome. Now, why do I bring this up? One, crowd noise. When you play outside, crowd noise easily dissipates because it has a lot of area to move around. So crowd noise is not going to be as big of a problem in an open air stadium as it is inside of a dome. So there's that, number one. But here's the reason why this is especially a problem for the Commanders. Where do the Commanders play? They play in the NFC East division, pardon me. Who is in the NFC East division with them? The Commanders have the Giants, the freaking Cowboys, and the Eagles. If you want to be technical, all four of those teams play open air. Technically. Because if you want to be also technical, freaking the Dallas Stadium is a dome, but it just has that huge ass hole in the middle. But the point of the matter is 3 out of the 4 teams in the NFC East definitely play open air stadiums. Why is that big? Because it tells me that the majority of the time the Commanders are not playing inside of domes. They're playing outdoors, which means they're not going to be used to the noise level. And as everybody knows, the noise level inside of Detroit and freaking Ford Field, it is something all freaking its own. You can't replicate it anywhere. And again, this is going to be Jayden Daniels' second playoff game. Imagine the stark contrast from going an open air stadium where it's actually decently able to hear you, going to the freaking noise box that's going to be Ford Field. Freaking Jayden Daniels won't be able to think straight. So there's that. But then, let's take a look at these last 2 points I have as to why I think the Lions have promising news. They have a promising outlet. They have a promising outlook as to why they're going to be able to do well against the Commanders. Let's just talk about this team. This team is a completely different animal than the Bucs. Again, Bucs are a good team, don't get me wrong, but there is no team in the NFL that is like the Lions. I mean, dare I need to explain how freaking violent, how freaking tenacious this team is? They do not give one rat's ass about who gets in their way. They will make you pay. This is a team that is absolutely hungry. They are on a mission, and they are not going to let anyone get in their way. And again, let's also take a look at the experience factor here. Like I said, the Commanders last appeared in the playoffs in 2020. And the last time prior to that was 2015. So most, if not all, the guys that are currently on the Commanders roster were not there the last time they made the playoffs. And like I said, the Commanders had not won a playoff game last night since 2005. Well, wait a minute here. Rookie quarterback, pretty, inexperienced team in the playoffs for the most part. Who's our quarterback and what experience does our team have? Oh, that's right. We have Jared Goff, who's been to a Super Bowl, 2 NFC Conference Championship games, won I don't know how many playoff games. I think it's now like 6 or 7. So Jared Goff has an much more amount of experience than Jayden Daniels does, number one. But also, number two, this is the same Lions team that last year got to the NFC Conference Championship game and was a literal whisker away from getting to the Super Bowl. When you start doing that and you start freaking putting it up on a scale, it's not even comparable, folks. And then the final thing. Like I said earlier, the Lions found out last night that we're going to be playing the Commanders Saturday night at 8 o'clock. This is good for the Lions. You want to know why? Because if the Lions had not found out they were going to play the Commanders and the Bucs had won instead, they were going to have to wait a whole nother day before they were going to figure out who they were going to play, either the Rams or the Vikings. Now they don't have to waste a day. They can get right into preparing for the Commanders. That is an edge. That is an advantage contrary to what some people might think, because now you gain an extra day to get ready. The Lions have had their rest week. They're ready to go. They need to figure out how they're going to play and match up against an opponent, especially an opponent in the Commanders they have not faced this year. So it's going to behoove them, as we say in the Army, to make sure they are ready by having as much time as possible to prepare. That's why I'm saying there's a lot of promising news here that the Lions should definitely take advantage of and that Lions fans should definitely take heart from. They shouldn't worry about the Commanders nearly as much. I'm not saying the Lions are going to blow out the Commanders, but as I told a friend of mine, I would expect that the Lions should win by 10 plus points. I'm not saying they're going to win by 3 touchdowns, 3 scoring drives, anything like that. But 10 solid points, I think, is not that far out of the realm of possibilities. It's in Detroit. We're facing a rookie quarterback. We've been to the playoffs before. We have everything going for us. Our defense is getting healthy. What the hell's not to like about our odds? Hell, I'm willing to bet that once Vegas starts putting out their odds, they're going to probably have us as 5, 6, 7-point favorites. Just saying. But having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage you all, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content I push out. Also want to highly encourage you all to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Share it wherever and wherever. And with that being said, my friends, whether this is your first time watching me or you've been watching me for a long time, I hope you got something out of the content. I hope it's something that you enjoyed. I also hope that you got something in your life that makes you happy and makes you smile. Please don't let anyone ever steal your joy away. It is truly the most valuable thing we have in this world. And with that, my friends, I just want to say God bless. Thank you for watching the content. Hope you enjoyed it. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.